Hi everyone, Dead Battery here, and thank you for joining me on my channel. Today's video is going to be on another gameplay on the Super Grafx, and this time it's Gunhed. Gunhed was released in Japan in July of 1989, and then when it was released in North America in November of 1989, they changed the name from Gunhed to Blazing Lasers. Gunhed was named after a movie that came out by Masato Hirata, and this movie had a supercomputer called the Chiron 5, and it took over the world, and then some survivors found a robot called the Gunhed 507, and they used that to fight the enemy in the movie. Now in the game, you are a spaceship, and it's set up as a vertically scrolling shooter game. And in the game, you fight the enemy called the Dark Squadron, and your galaxy is under attack, and you're its last hope. This game does have 9 stages, so let's see how far we got, and let's see what Gunhed looks like. This is stage 1, and your weapon is called the Gunhed Starfighter. And this first stage is where you're attacking the Dark Squadron's space station that's orbiting your planet. There are a lot of weapons in this game and a lot of power-ups, and each one that you see on the screen means something different. How the weapons work is all the Roman numerals are your main weapons. They go 1 through 4. 1 is your photon blasters. Now there are also letters, and each of these is another thing that you can use to help you in your battle against the Dark Squadron. S is for shield. H stands for homing missiles. Each stage has bosses, but some stages have 1 and some stages have 2. This is stage 1's first boss, and the boss is called the Core Wall. And there are 3 red circles on each side and 2 large ones in the middle, and you have to destroy all of them. They do fire at you, but they're easy to dodge. If you collect the same Roman numeral, you end up powering up the weapon. You can also do this by collecting all those purple circles floating around everywhere. This is stage 1's final boss. Its name is the Triclops or Thunder Blazer. And it's this machine that splits off into 3 pieces. And you do have to attack each of them to blow them up to beat the final boss. It does shoot lasers down, but I found that if you stick to the corners, you can pretty much stay out of the way when it's getting ready to fire. We've made it through stage 1, so now on to stage 2. Two is a disrupt wave. Now you're fighting on top of their spaceport, and this is where all their planes and all the other forces are gathered. F is for full fire, and it increases the power. Stage 2 is basically trying to avoid getting hit by any of the aircrafts that are moving around. It's very blue and red colored, and there's bombs and things falling down around you. So having a lot of weapon power up is helpful for this one, because if you power the weapon all the way up, you have some protection, where if you do get hit, the weapon just kind of downgrades a little bit instead of actually losing a life. Three is called Field Thunder. And 4 is your Ring Blaster. This stage also has 2 bosses. The first boss is the Gatling gun, or the Rappeur, and it basically says what its name is. It has multiple guns on the sides of it. It does move around, but it's kind of slow, and you just have to keep firing at the middle of it for it to eventually be destroyed.
Photon tractor. Disruptor wave. Homing missile. Wing blaster. Field thunder. Homing missile. Shield.
Now we finally get to the final boss of stage 2. Its name is Big Borg, and it stays together, and then when it opens up it shoots a laser out of the bottom. So this one I feel like is really easy to predict when it's gonna fire. Just stay out of its way. The only thing that I noticed with this one is it shoots out like this little drone and it comes at you, and none of the weapons really work on it unless you have one of the clear screen weapons, and it also takes out the drone.
Bullfire. Wing blaster. Homing missile.
Now that we've finally beat stage 2, on to stage 3. Now this stage is where you finally made it to the Dark Squadron's base, and they have all the weapons stored here, but there's a lot of other things going on. There's a lot of floor tiles and structures that they have around here, and when you destroy them, you can get power-ups. You can get the purple circles as well as extra points for all the tiles. There is a weapon called a cluster bomb, and it basically takes out the whole entire screen and all the enemies on it, but you don't have a lot of them. However, you can collect more. Even if you lose a life and you start out with the basic weapon, the more power-ups and numbers that you grab, the easier it's going to become. And because the more you attack, the more drops you get, you can power up your weapon very quickly from a point of basic weapon. And I think this is very different from R-Type. It was not very often I was able to upgrade my weapon to give me more firepower. This stage only has one boss. This is it. Its name is Tyrax the Great or Bazia Great. And it just looks like a giant spider. It's green and little baby spiders come out of it and try to attack you. But the more damage you do to it, the more little spiders that come out. Now that we were able to beat stage 3, now we move on to stage 4. And this is where it looks really weird. It reminds me of Futurama when the brains come out and make everybody not very smart. M is multi-body. So this stage is actually like you're inside one of the creatures. I'm not too sure how you got from flying over its base to inside a creature, because if this is inside a creature and your ship is the same size, this is a huge creature. But either way, it's an interesting one. This one does have two bosses. This first boss is just eyeballs. Small eyeballs come out of the area of the space creature and they come at you direct line, so you can dodge them, but they will redirect and come at you. The final boss in this stage is called the Space Prowler or the Queen Prowler. And this one is red with a whole bunch of green circles on it. And it kind of stays still and then it shoots more green at you. And you have to destroy all of the green circles and the area in the middle. And then once you do that, it will separate into another piece and then that piece moves around and you just have to destroy it. The more weapons and power up you have, the easier these levels can be. So what do you think of Gunhed? I really like this game. I like the look of the stages. I like the look of the weapons and the ship and everything happening. I like all the different types of weapons and how different they can change when you power them up. I like R-Type, but I definitely think I like Gunhed a little bit more. It was fun for me to play, and even when I lost, I felt like I wanted to go back and play, where R-Type, I didn't want to go back and play as often. The neat thing about Gunhed is even if I completely lose all my lives and it's game over, it takes you to a screen that just has continue or end. And if you hit continue, you don't just start at the beginning, you start back at the stage that you lost in. So it took me a couple times to get through stage 1, but once I made it to stage 2, I didn't have to go back to stage 1 unless I turned the system off. Now, once again, I'm not as good as my husband. I made it through the first 3 stages, but was not able to get any farther. So the 4th stage you see is my husband playing. However, we are going to keep playing because I want to see all 9 stages. I also felt that the music wasn't annoying. I enjoyed it, maybe not as much as R-Type. The music in R-Type seemed louder and obvious, where the music in Gunhed was not as obvious. I knew there was music, but there was so much weapon fire and everything else going on that I didn't really focus on it where it would get annoying. I struggled in Gunhed a little bit, but I had fun with it. To me, that's more enjoyable regardless if it's easier or not. It still produced a challenge for me. Let me know in the comments if you've played Gunhed or Blazing Lasers and what did you think about it. Aesthetically, I think this game looks really nice and I'm excited to see if we can make it through all 9 stages. It was a little confusing at first because I didn't know what all the Roman numerals meant and then the letters. So some of them I kind of avoided because I was wondering if they were a specific thing that I didn't want. But once I figured out what they were, I just kept going after them. And then I did try to collect the same numbers since that's how you keep powering up the same weapon you have. I would like to find the movie Gunhed and give it a watch. I know that it's completely different than the game, and because they changed the name in North America, they took out any reference that could have been made to the movie, but I think it'll still be neat to watch. Let me know if you've seen the movie and what you thought about it. In the end, this game was really awesome. I enjoyed it and I'm definitely going to keep playing it. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, share with your friends, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Bye!